Losing him was awful. It was dreadful. The manner in which we lost him, but also it was also inspirational because of what he achieved. Genuinely, you know, like he was really quite remarkable. I couldn't believe that nobody knew. I was saying to people at Marvel, come on, you must have really known. Honestly, Mark, we had no idea. And that's when you kind of go, oh yeah, you can never complain again. You can't complain about, you know, oh, we've been waiting around a bit long, or, you know, my tea's a bit cold or whatever, you know, because, you know, when people are capable of this superhuman acts of fortitude, you know.
You deserve to see the magic that is a rapper performing with an all-black orchestra, so here you go. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Thank you for joining me here in Conversations with Taz on Think About It Thursday. Today has been a day. So please, 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 just bear with me. We're going to get through this today together. Sorry. As always, I have more updates for you regarding the racists gone wild down at the University of Kentucky. If you're not up to speed, you can go ahead and pause and come back here and go back over the past few nights. The first story of each night is this story, so you could go get caught up and then come on back and join us back. But here we go. There's 3 videos, so sit back, pay attention, and then we'll talk about it on the back end.
Okay, I want to talk more about this waste of human life, Sophia Rosing. Not so much about her, but about the response that I've seen from like people who defend her, mostly her friends. So we know that she issued this half-baked apology on Instagram. Like, this is one of her friends. You might be in jail, but you still putting game on them dudes' tails. Free Sophie, you'll be out soon and in the clear, bestie. What? This is another guy that got caught defending her. What a dashing young gentleman. I think this is him too. Oh, okay. Oh, look, there's Sophia in the comments. Free Sophia out the gates. The system corrupt. She ain't do nothing. Self-defense. Oh, this is a good one. Same guy, I think. Said, first of all, the farm worker hit Sophia first, and then Sophia was defending herself. I swear you guys try to make us look bad 24/7. Like, really? I don't really know what to do with this information.
Before we get into this video, if I look greasy at all to you, it is because I put shea butter on my face because the Washington weather is drying me out and it is not doing my skin any favors. Having said that, this tweet came across my timeline. Breaking: University of Kentucky student Sophia Rosing has been permanently banned from campus and will not be eligible to re-enroll as a student, which I believe is the right decision to make. I made a video talking about this a couple days ago. If you want to go watch it, just scroll through my videos, you'll find it very quickly. But nonetheless, I had said in that video that, like, she needs to be gone from the school. She should not be allowed back. I didn't think that her behavior can be excused with a "my bad, I'm sorry." Some people wanted to give her an excuse because she was drunk. I am not one of those people who believe that just because you are drunk that gives you the excuse to throw a racist tantrum. In a letter by the University of Kentucky president, they said, "Although she is no longer a student, we must continue our investigations. That includes our cooperation with an investigation into criminal charges filed, our code of student conduct, disciplinary proceedings, and racial harassment conduct being reviewed by our Office of Institutional Equity and Equal Opportunity. And based on their investigations, further charges could be forthcoming. I am hoping at the end of it they charge her with assault and a fucking hate crime, because that's exactly what she did." Of course, she is a rich white girl, so she could always end up getting out of the charges anyways, but I do believe that they should at least be filed against her. Rosing was bonded out of jail around 6 p.m. Monday night. Her parents were present and covered her face as she left. Rosing's attorney, Fred Peters, said she was apologetic, humiliated, and withdrawing from UK following the incident. He also said Rosing was getting treatment. I do have the video and I want to play it for you real quick.
What do you have to say about the language that you used toward the UK student? Was that okay? You Google the University of Kentucky and your name shows up with these videos. What do you have to say to the student that you used racial slurs toward? Are you apologetic? Do you have anything to say at all?
Oh, you gotta love seeing parents protect their racist daughter. According to Rosing's arrest citation, she said that she has lots of money and gets special treatment. When an officer told her to sit back in a chair, she kicked the officer and bit his hand. Rosing was booked in the Fayette County Detention Center and is facing several criminal charges, including 2 counts of assault, public intoxication, and disorderly conduct. Rosing appeared in court on Monday, pleaded not guilty through her lawyer, and waived a formal arraignment. I see the charges that are against her, but where's the hate crime and where's the assaulting a police officer? There's 2 counts of assault, maybe one of them is assaulting a police officer, but I would like to see that specified, please. Hopefully, when these investigations conclude, those charges do get filed against her because they are warranted, and I'm glad she's been expelled, and I hope she doesn't get allowed back to another college until she demonstrates that she has learned the error of her ways. I'm sure she learned this behavior from her parents, which is why they are protecting her and not shaming her. Lord knows if this was my kid, I would have yeeted her out the window. Put that kid up for adoption real quick. Rich white racism and privilege in America is beyond a problem, and I'm glad that at least so far this girl is being punished accordingly.
As I stated before, if you're not up to date, you can go back over the past few nights of the podcast. And like I said, it's the first story. I always update it at the top of the show. Coming from the NewYorkPost.com, Kentucky student Sophia Rosing going to rehab following video of racist assault. We have racism rehab now. I think I'm in the wrong business. I think I should open a racism rehab. But let's continue. The University of Kentucky student charged with attacking a Black student while hurling racial slurs at her will withdraw from school and enter rehab, her attorney told NBC. Apparently intoxicated senior Sophia Rosing, 22, was caught on video striking freshman dorm desk staffer Kyla Spring early Sunday and repeatedly calling her, the N-word during the ugly incident. She is going to withdraw from the university today or tomorrow, lawyer Fred Peters told NBC Tuesday. She's a very, very embarrassed and humiliated young lady. From those Instagram posts, no, she's not. No, she's not. From that video before she got to Kyla Spring, no, she's not. And everyone that witnessed her before she got to that dorm, y'all have this on your hands too. Because she should have never made it to the dorm. She should have been arrested when she was spitting on people and biting people in the club. When you had to physically remove her, the cops should have been called. Because if it would have been me up in the club, chomp and getting my Hannibal Lecter off on people, there would not have been a story about a next location I went to. But let's continue. Rosing also attempted to kick another student who appeared to be black, didn't appear to be black. She was black. She was blackety black, black. As she attempted to help Spring subdue the unruly co-ed. She started saying things like, do my chores. It's not my fault that you're black. It's not my fault that you're ugly. And at this point, she's singing the N-word, Spring said in a TikTok video after the confrontation. Peters told the network Rosing will enroll in a sensitivity program to help her heal through the situation. Can we normalize the fact that there is nothing for a racist to heal from when they inflict trauma on a marginalized individual? The only people who need to heal are her victims. What the fuck is she healing from? Being exposed? Because she kikiing and he-heing it up as her friends are calling black women farm workers and farm hands. As they're saying, they are always trying to bring us down. Bring who down? You racist. You white privileged, pale, pasty pedestrians. Always take accountability as you being oppressed because somebody is finally telling you no. And that you do not have access to everyone and everything, and that you don't own anyone anymore. What is she healing from? I would certainly love to know. What is she healing from? In Northern Kentucky, and this goes for all the residents of Northern Kentucky, white people, you are not our saviors. White people, leave us the fuck alone. Don't get into our families and need these black bodies, black minds, and black labors to get away, get ahead in order for you to just tear us down and disintegrate and try to denigrate us. And black folks and non-white folks, stop giving a pass to these motherfuckers. You know them. They're your friends, your co-workers, your family members, your neighbors. And you kiki and hee and laugh off or excuse, or you are an accomplice to their behavior. I watch it every day. Hell, I'm sitting here today watching it in my own family while I have a sister-in-law playing fucking Russian roulette with my own daughter's life because she's trying to hold on to my brother that don't want her. White folks really believe that they have ownership over us, especially here in Northern Kentucky. They will start a fire, put it out and go, you should be thankful to me. You should. And then when you call out their white saviorhood, which is a component of white supremacy, now they need to heal. You're the drama because I can't be the drama. I need to heal. Miss me with the fucking bullshit. Miss me with the fucking bullshit. Stop letting problematic people send themselves to these faux rehabs to avoid accountability. Charge her with a hate crime. Charge her specifically with resisting arrest and causing harm to an officer. She want to sing the word nigga? Treat her like you treat the rest of us that you look at as niggas. Let's move on to the news wrap up, and then we'll get into some more Twitter and election stuff and an update on ICWA and SCOTUS.
Look who decided to come back for more. Welcome back to News Against Humanity, the series where I share the wildest recent news headlines from around the world. People return to offices. Productivity plunges. Polish leader blames the country's low birth rate on young women drinking too much. In Colorado, a used coffin is traded in at a pawn shop as the economy worsens. El Paso high school students may have to retake the SATs after their tests fly out of a UPS truck. Jeff Bezos' housekeepers got UTIs from lack of bathroom access, says a lawsuit. Hundreds cheer the red carpet eating of a 40th rotisserie chicken, a part of Philly history. Norwegian princess quits her royal duties to work with her shaman fiancé. Raising Cane's sues a shopping mall over allegedly being tricked into signing a lease for a site where it couldn't sell chicken fingers. NASCAR driver stuns the racing world with a move he learned from a Nintendo GameCube. Paintballs are to be shot at Dutch wolves in a bid to make them less tame. Florida traveler stuffed a gun into a raw chicken and tried to bring it on a plane. Pennsylvania state representative was re-elected despite being dead.
The used coffin has me verklempt. Who's gone to a pawn shop to buy a coffin? Who's gone to the pawn shop to ask about coffins that the pawn shop will take it? Because pawn shops are only going to take what they know they can resell. Where did you get the used coffin from? Because you're going to jail. Because it costs way more than you could have plausibly gotten to dig up, to exhume that coffin. And what did you do with the body that was in it? Like, how was it used? How was it used? Please, I hope it was for a prop. And why were you previously spending money on a coffin? This is why I'm going to just be cremated and pressed into jewelry. Cause ain't no fucking way. Ain't no fucking way that somebody knows me is going to have that severe of financial troubles that they're like, we can just roll her out. Just dig her up. And if it was a buried coffin, how did they get through the concrete slab? So many questions. So many questions. So yeah, I want to know too, Brittany, because Brittany, to all your siblings, y'all and I know I'm being pressed into jewelry, but if any of y'all pawn me, I'm haunting y'all and the pawn shop owner and the employee that decided to take it. Now I feel like I should get a little mini picture of myself put in the middle of the jewel with a note that says, "Do not pawn. Remember what I said." Because now, okay. I know this is very nerdy of me, but there's a pawn shop not far from me. And sometimes I'll take a walk and I'll go in there and look around. And I'm always amused at the things that get pawned. And there have been times I've been in the pawn shop that they've turned things away where I'm like, why do y'all hire people and don't train them on the value of things? Especially when people come in with collectibles. And they just look at it like it's a piece of junk, not realizing it's worth thousands of dollars and in some cases hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I'm looking at both ends like, I can't help this person out and tell them to put it on an auction site, because the moment I say something, now the pawn shop realizes what they have and they're going to be haggling. But and I'm pretty sure they didn't walk in with the casket. So how do you convince somebody that you for real have a casket chilling outside? And how did you get the casket there? Did you bring it on a flatbed? Because it's too long. Because that was like a full grown adult casket. That wasn't like a child casket. There's a standard size. And before y'all go, but Taz, people aren't standard sizes. They come in out. Yeah, if you're too tall for the caskets, they break your legs and there's a little bit of area that they can put you in there. You're dead. You're not feeling it. Hell, by the time you make it to the funeral home, your brains, your tongue, all of that is sewn up, is about to be sewn up in your chest. It's in a bag, sitting right here. Get over it. Oh, Brittany, I know you would never. But I know, unless you've been on a rock or you only have Facebook, you've heard about ICWA and the fact that SCOTUS started hearing arguments regarding ICWA starting on Monday. We now have I guess you can call it an update. Let's check it out. We'll talk about it on the flip side.
So today, the Supreme Court held oral arguments in a case concerning the ultimate fate of the Indian Child Welfare Act, which was passed in 1978 and gives tribal nations exclusive jurisdiction over the children within their borders. This was passed more or less in response to a long history of children essentially being kidnapped from tribal nations, from reservations, and kept away from their parents, from their communities, etc., etc. A really awful history. Now, as they often do, the Supreme Court justices had a few questions, and Sherilyn Ifill, who used to run the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, had a reaction to a comment from Justice Samuel Alito, everyone's favorite Supreme Court justice. Sherilyn writes, "I'm having a reaction to Justice Alito's suggestion that there's no basis for a kind of collective Indian cultural history. Quote, I don't understand. Before Europeans arrived, tribes were at war with each other. Not sure a tribe in Florida has anything in common with one in Alaska. The reason this is relevant is because the Indian Child Welfare Act is there to protect, right, this Indian, this native tribal identity." And Alito's saying, well, how could you even say such a thing exists? Aren't they all so different? They're different tribes. They're fighting with each other. Not like us Europeans, of course. We weren't fighting with each other. They're all fighting with each other. Why? How can we say there's a singular identity? Which my response is, are you fucking kidding me? Are you serious right now? The simple fact is that America's indigenous people may not have had a singular identity at the point of European arrival in the 15th century or the 16th century or the 17th century, but the experience of expropriation and violence and genocide essentially forged one. The experience of being subjected to brutal oppression by the United States government over a period of centuries forged a kind of common identity, even as there are still these important cultural distinctions. It's the same story with Black Americans. The Africans who arrived here in American shores as slaves did not arrive here as Black people. They became Black people, developed Blackness as an identity as a result of the conditions of slavery and racial discrimination. It's a social process that took place over time. And I think it's all pretty obvious. The extent to which it is obvious, the extent to which someone like Alito should know, reminds me of an essay by a now late philosopher Charles Mills titled White Ignorance. You can find the essay in this book, Black Rights, White Wrongs, The Critique of Racial Liberalism. Mills argues that the structure of our society shapes our epistemology. What we know and how we know, more importantly, is influenced by the systems of domination and hierarchy that we inhabit and live under. Mills argues that the system of white supremacy cultivates an ignorance of the basic facts of the social system under which we live. It inculcates a blindness to the way things are and how they came to be. Talk more about the concept of white ignorance, but it suffices to say that in that moment, Sam Alito demonstrated it.
The racial tropes. Oh, the racial tropes. How can Native Americans govern themselves when they were all They act as if Native Americans woke up every day and chose violence and was like, you know what? I'm ready to go throw hands with No. The ones that were waking up and still wake up every day to choose violence are the yeast yeti of society. Let's be real. Let's go historically now. So we have an associate justice of the Supreme Court of the United States of America that is utilizing racial tropes and stereotypes and disinformation regarding history to influence their decisions and their thought process. And this is the second justice in just a few weeks going, I don't understand. This is why we need proper representation in SCOTUS. Old white people have no place in any branch of government within the United States. I said it and I mean it with my whole chest and my whole being. We don't need anybody from the greatest generation. We don't need any boomers. We don't need any of that. They are so, they have hit the freeze button. Okay, they're like an old black grandmother that believes, oh, that's getting close to its expiration date, put it in the freezer. Once you freeze it, you freeze the date. That's what they have done. While holding on, see, they've frozen the ability to hold on to their racism while acclimating to everything else in society, while denying the fact that they've acclimated and adjusted to everything else in society. So miss me with that's just how they were. That's just how they were raised. They don't know any better. If they can use a computer, a smartphone, public transportation the way that it is, no. And we definitely don't need people who have been wealthy or rich the vast majority of their lives. And see, when questioning potential associate justices of the Supreme Court, you need to ask them questions about history to see their interpretation of it. And then you need to ask them to give commentary on certain social issues that are occurring today and see what their response is. See, we've gotten so accustomed to just looking at what's on the paper as far as somebody's resume and being able to judge them for that. No different than people who will show you a picture and be like, would you date them? All you know is what they look like, what the aesthetic is, what they decided to present that day that picture was taken. That's the same thing with the resume. You know the aesthetic that is being presented to you on that day. But moving on, let's get into some election history, which is going to go straight into a little bit of an election day recap.
Not only did candidates win their races last night, many of them also made history. Republican and former White House press secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders is going to be the first woman elected governor of Arkansas after she won the office that her dad held for over a decade. New York Governor Kathy Hochul defeated Republican Lee Zeldin, becoming the state's first elected female governor. She had been appointed to the position last year. In my home state of Alabama, Republican Katie Britt becomes the first elected female senator from the state after she won the race to succeed her one-time boss, retiring GOP Senator Richard Shelby. 25-year-old Democrat Maxwell Frost is the first Gen Z member of Congress after he won Florida's 10th congressional district. He's 25 years old. He's going to succeed Democrat Val Demings. She vacated the seat to run for Senate, a race that she lost last night. Democrat Wes Moore, going to be Maryland's first black governor and only the third African-American ever elected governor in the United States. In addition to that, Anthony Brown is going to be the first black person ever elected attorney general in Maryland. In Massachusetts, Democrat Maura Healey is going to be the first openly lesbian governor in U.S. history and the first elected female governor in the state. Republican Markwayne Mullin is going to be the first Native American senator from Oklahoma in almost 100 years after he won a special election for the seat left open by the retiring Republican Senator Jim Inhofe. And in Pennsylvania, Democrat Summer Lee is going to be the state's first black woman elected to Congress. She won the 12th congressional district last night.
The midterm elections were last night, and there are still plenty of votes to be counted. But my takeaway so far: 1. Election deniers lost badly. 2. This is the best midterm performance by an incumbent president in 20 years. And 3. There was no red wave. And Fox News is not taking it well.
Happened, and there wasn't a red wave. That is a searing indictment of the Republican Party. That is a searing indictment of the message that we have been sending to the voters. They looked at all of that and looked at the Republican alternative and said, no thanks.
I'm shocked there was a no red wave. If you think about inflation, a 40-year high, crime, the worst since the 1980s, the unpopular president with an agenda that's more green-oriented than people-oriented.
Weird. It's almost as if voters didn't fall for the Republican fear-mongering.
That said, this should have been the red wave that even Democratic pundits on other networks were saying was absolutely going to happen. So is the Republican brand now broken in some level, Carly, where they're still not trusted that they can govern as effectively either?
Yeah. But the most important takeaway from last night, Donald Trump, the biggest loser.
Democratic governors. And 20 lost. And now 22. Once again, Donald Trump has made you the biggest loser. I mean, come on. When are you going to wake up? You know, Republicans, all right, historically, Republicans had expected to win massively, do well in swing states. And we're also banking on upsets in New York. We all heard it yesterday morning. All the Republican analysts are, yeah, we think we're going to win New York. No. In New Hampshire, Maggie Hassan's got, no. Colorado, no, we got, no. Washington State, Republicans have been telling me for a month that they're going to beat Patty Murray. Patty Murray, he didn't even break a sweat. I mean, come on. It was a massive, massive night, Robert Gibbs, was it not? And everything Republicans were telling us off air and so on air, wrong.
Reminds me a bit.
Now, you notice how they said Democratic pundits were saying there was going to be a red wave. No, and y'all know I bounce around everywhere. Right wing, left wing, in the middle, international. No. And then you love how they said that there's an unpopular president. To who? Trump was the unpopular president. They said that he's more concerned about green than human life. You do realize if you do not take the environment and climate change seriously, there will be no human life. Perfect example of what the platform of the Republican Party would do to human life on Earth is the movie WALL-E. Think about it. That's what would happen. We would have to vacate Earth and basically just circle the universe and become lazy and completely dependent upon technology. Because if you cannot protect and preserve the Earth, with every member of the BIPOC community can understand, you're not moving forward. You're not sustaining life here. But like they said, Trump wasn't happy. But let's take a look at yet another example of Trump and his racism. Here we go.
Donald Trump, in a moment that makes no sense whatsoever, says he thinks the search warrant at Mar-a-Lago will make Hispanic people vote for him. But Trump thinks everything will make Hispanic people vote for him.
If we don't straighten this country out, you are literally going to end up with a Venezuela on steroids, meaning a bigger version of Venezuela. And that's where our country is going. If you look at what's happening, the raid on Mar-a-Lago, people were disgusted by it. But Hispanics saw that as what happened. And many of them come from countries that we know very well.
Oh, God. Is he saying that when a search warrant was served at Mar-a-Lago, it was like the abuses of power, corruption, and dictatorial insanity in Venezuela? Is that the argument he's making?
They said that's what happened from where they came.
Yes. Oh, God, that is just rich. A completely legal, I's dotted and T's crossed search warrant being executed when there is so much probable cause. That's like that's like what Chavez did. That is just wild. And Trump actually talks more about Venezuela.
You take a look at Venezuela, go back 20 years. It was,
Venezuela.
Very prosperous, rich country. It was the richest country in Latin America. It was, everything was pretty good. And now you look, they don't have water, they don't have food, they don't have anything. They have a dictatorship. And on the campaign, I was saying that if we don't straighten this country out, you are literally going to end up with a Venezuela on steroids.
There you go. And I have to tell you, Trump finally getting something right. It is true. I believe in the year 2001 or 2000, Venezuela was the most prosperous country in South America. That he finally stumbled across a historical fact that is true.
Racism, disinformation, misinformation, and lying on behalf of a whole group of people that we know you don't talk to, because we know how you treat your Latina employees. Well, yeah, that's surprising to no one. But y'all, be prepared. Be prepared for another egregious murderer to be put into a good light for good white people, especially white women, and be prepared to be disgusted online. I know you're wondering, Taz, what are you talking about? Peacock, I'm disappointed. Y'all take a look.
What in the actual fuck is Peacock thinking right now? They just dropped the trailer for a new documentary called Casey Anthony, Where the Truth Lies, where she's gonna get to tell her side of the story. Not since O.J. Simpson's book, If I Did It, have I seen such a money grab, and a media company who's using their platform to benefit and profit off of people's obsession with killers. Was she technically found not guilty? Yes. Did O.J. Simpson technically get away with a double murder? Yes. This was the biggest slam dunk case in everybody's minds when it was happening, and when the verdict was read, people altogether said, wow, Florida is as stupid as advertised. And this story truly had everything. You had the scumbag lawyer Jose Baez, who was rumored to have been getting sexual favors as payment for the case because Casey Anthony was broke. The amount of evidence against her and her internet searches was staggering. Now Peacock's gonna act like they're shocked and they weren't expecting all of these headlines when they dropped this? Don't take the bait, don't watch, don't put a dime in her pocket.
But there are white women that are outraged at the Piper Lewis case, and that there were those of us willing to turn a blind eye and not turn her in. And unfortunately, yes, Piper Lewis is back in custody, and I can let you guess who turned her in. And if any of y'all send me clips from this documentary, I would say I would block you, but y'all know I'm not that type of person. I'm going to roast you like it is a Cuban pig roast in the middle of summer. Don't do it. Do not do it. And yes, this is a part of Peacock has two different sides. They have the free side and the paid side. So yes, right now it's going to be on the paid side. So yeah. As always, quick reminder, check the first comment in the comment section. If you haven't realized, before the show starts, I try to put a link in the comment section, and also check the links in the description of this video. Be sure to subscribe if you're watching on YouTube and click the bell so that you're updated on any and all posts from this channel and from me, because sometimes there are videos that are uploaded that are not official podcasts. Also go to my link tree and make sure you're subscribed to the blog, the audio podcast, and many, many more things, and follow me on additional social media platforms, because I kind of sprinkle all of the information and historical context across all boards. Well, except for Facebook. Facebook is just for me to be trolled by my children. But if you like that, go. Yeah, they think they're funny. But let's get into this season's ad, and then we'll be back to talk about some more stuff. See you in 2 and 2.
Style. Style is the answer to everything. A fresh way to approach a dull or dangerous thing. To do a dangerous thing with style is what I call art.
Welcome to another episode of You Gonna Learn Today. On this episode, we're talking about Tituba, the black woman who started the Salem witch trials. Let's go. Most of us are familiar with the Salem witch trials. We've all been told hyperbole regarding some accusations of witches and some being burned at the stake. It turns out this is not true, and yet there is another little known fact that has been rarely mentioned in history books. The Salem witch trials started over a black woman. This is the story of a woman named Tituba, the Black Witch of Salem, Massachusetts. Mass hysteria broke out in Salem in 1692 over claims of witchcraft and Satanism. The first person to be accused of association with the occult was an Afro-Indian woman named Tituba. Tituba was originally from Barbados and was an ethnic mix of black Africans and Arawak Indian, according to historians like Samuel Drake. She was enslaved in Barbados on the Thompson Plantation. Slave transport documents show that she was inherited by Samuel Parris, who brought her to Massachusetts. Tituba was married to an indigenous man named John Indian, as verified by the church record book kept by her owner, Samuel Parris. Tituba was the first person to be accused of practicing witchcraft by two white women, Elizabeth Parris and Abigail Williams. Tituba had a close relationship with Elizabeth Parris because she was the daughter of her owner, Samuel Parris. Tituba used voodoo as spiritual practice for divination and healing. She began to teach Elizabeth some of these practices before being accused of using black magic. After being arrested, Tituba was scheduled for trial. In an interview with Robert Calif for his collection of papers on the trials, titled More Wonders of the Invisible World, being an account of the trials of several witches lately executed in New England, Tituba confirmed that Parris had beaten a confession out of her and then coached her on what to say and how to say it when she was questioned. After she was tortured, Tituba confessed to practicing witchcraft, which included worshiping and speaking to the devil. Tituba attempted to explain her voodoo to the hyper-religious group of Puritans. They, ironically, claimed to America to practice their version of religion without persecution from the Roman Catholic Church. Tituba repeatedly asserted that she was not a witch, but to no avail, even though there was no proof that she used any magic for harm. Tituba was sent to jail in Boston to await trial and punishment on March 7, 1692. Tituba's knowledge of voodoo, position in society as an enslaved person, and gender and ethnic background served as the basis for her being the primary scapegoat of the mass hysteria among the Puritans. By being at the intersection of these discriminatory factors, it was easy to convince the people that she worshipped the devil and practiced demonology. Here is another example of black and indigenous spiritual practices being demonized by white communities. In all, 30 people were found guilty of witchcraft, and 19 people were executed by hanging, the majority of them being black. Tituba, the Black Witch of Salem, spent 13 months in prison before being sold to another slaver. Now you know.
So once again, white women who love to, specifically on TikTok, come up and go, I am the descendant of who was burned to death in Salem. First of all, how would they have it? Never mind. Are you sure? Because I believe that that would be us. Let's get into Trump and this federal disinformation.
In July of 2020, there was a news report that came out that there was a man who was shot in the head by Department of Homeland Security. He was attending a protest during the Black Lives Matter movement. We later found out the Department of Homeland Security and other provocateurs like the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers were purposely provoking the protesters to make it seem like they were the ones who were the problem. They wanted to create a narrative because Donald Trump was insistent on calling them Antifa. An internal investigation just exposed the Department of Homeland Security capitulating to Donald Trump and his administration to name protesters as Antifa, even though there was no evidence and they were repeatedly told that there was no such thing as Antifa, nor any evidence that there was a widespread terror group. We now have internal memos showing that there was a formal change to blame the Portland violence from violent opportunist to Antifa, per the orders of Donald Trump. These were direct orders by Wolf and Ken Cuccinelli. There was also orders to create dossiers against every protester, and direct instructions to call them violent Antifa anarchists. Now what?
Now the whole standby should make sense to the rest of you all. It made sense to a bunch of us from the beginning. But if you recall, I told you all that slavery was never abolished. Some people wanted to argue with me about this. I don't know why y'all keep doing this. As one of my besties says, yes, I am laughing in intellectual arrogance. Yes, I have a bestie that calls me intellectually arrogant. I will take that. And I told you all that slavery was going to be on the ballot once again. Let's take a look at how that turned out.
Ain't shit, your dog ain't shit, you got a cute nephew, but his uncle a bitch. Whoop, whoop, somebody call the whole police, and your granny ain't shit, makes you rest in peace, cause you done pissed off a...
Here's the craziest thing you'll hear all day. So prohibiting slavery was on the ballot in Oregon. Yes, in 2022, prohibiting slavery was actually on the ballot in Oregon. Thank goodness. People voted yes to prohibit slavery. But 45% of people voted no. 500,000+ people out of less than 1.2 million voters in Oregon voted no. We do not want to prohibit slavery as a punishment. Can you believe this? The reason I'm telling you all this is understand that Oregon, historically speaking, one of the most racist states, go back to 1844 with black exclusion laws, which simply said, hey, if you are a black person in Oregon, you can be punished by 39 lashes. Okay, how about 1855 with mixed race laws, which said if you are a mixed race man in Oregon, you cannot be deemed as a citizen. See, those things that happened in the 1800s still affect today. They're passed down from generation to generation to generation. It is your responsibility, my responsibility, our responsibility to change the mindset of some of these generational flaws, some of the generational racism. Once again, 45% of people over 500,000 voted no. We should not prohibit slavery as punishment in Oregon. Do you understand slavery and 2022? Those two things should not go in a sentence.
I would say that I'm shocked by those voting, by those voting statistics, but I'm not. I'm not. I live in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. I am a Black woman. I'm on the internet every day on the political side of each and every platform that has an algorithm. Facebook really doesn't. That's a conversation for another day. I see the comments. Today, I watched a live that featured a press conference regarding the Attorney General of Washington getting involved in an investigation into the NFL, specifically the Washington football team. The comment section was riddled with racism and quite a lot of sexism. And these were married white men. I have a comment section right now where a white man is basically telling us to bow down because he parties with black people. They still act as if they own us. They want to own us again. So no, I'm not shocked. Don't be shocked. Stop denying the red flags of society. I know we have to have different coping mechanisms, but the best coping mechanism you can have is understanding and seeing the truth. Especially when that infiltrates your own family. Because if you think that there are white men and white women who marry into BIPOC families just to become the white savior, if you don't think that's happening, I feel sorry for you, boo. Because trust and believe, every accomplishment you have, they're telling everybody that will listen to their voice that it's because of them. And if you pay attention to how they speak to you, and I'm not saying every white person that marries into a BIPOC family. If it doesn't apply, let it fly. But if you know, you know. But, racism isn't just a thing within the United States, although other countries try to make it seem as it is. How are there MAGA supporters across the globe? Think I'm joking? Take a look.
We need to save America before we can save Australia. So this is, I've come here to sacrifice 3 months of my life to support MAGA, the MAGA candidates. I've been to Arizona, New Mexico and Florida. And for me, it's just important that in order to save Australia, I wanted to be here.
How are MAGA politicians that founded a country by breaking away from the English monarchy going to help someone that's still under the guise of the English monarchy? Y'all really buy into those memes where they put Trump on top of these tanks and give him muscles and put him on a horse with a bazooka and give him an AK-47. Y'all still believe in the Tooth Fairy and Santa Claus, don't y'all? Y'all still wait for the Easter Bunny. Y'all, when I hear things like this from MAGA supporters across the globe, I think of the episode of 2.5 Men where Charlie Sheen was still on the show. And Alan was dating a grown-ass woman who was a nester, according to Charlie's character, who really, truly still believed in Santa Claus and had a whole mental breakdown because she forgot to put out cookies and thought that Santa wasn't coming. Let's go on to the next.
By now, you've probably seen Katy Perry's midterm election selfie and who she seemingly voted for. But did she break the law by taking a photo showing her ballot? That depends on the state. In California, where Perry voted, the law states, quote, a voter may voluntarily disclose how he or she voted if that voluntary act does not violate any other law. So it looks like the pop star is in the clear. In fact, around half of U.S. states allowed ballot photography during the 2022 election cycle, according to Ballotpedia. That's not the case for voters in other states, though. Take New York, for example. In New York, taking photos of your ballot during the voting process process can result in a misdemeanor charge. Several other states, including Massachusetts and Nevada, also prohibit ballot selfies. In Illinois, it's technically a Class 4 felony to cast your vote in a way that lets other people see it, and it's punishable by up to a $25,000 fine and up to 3 years in prison. In Michigan, limited ballot photography is allowed so long as you stay within the voting booth, but you can't take a selfie with it. Bottom line, vote, but check your state's rules when it comes to sharing your ballot, even though it seems the likelihood of prosecution is pretty low. It might be safer to just snap a photo with your I voted sticker and call it a day.
Now, I remember when this first came under question, I think, don't quote me on this, because I think it may have been Justin Timberlake that like took a picture with his ballot and people were like going crazy, and it was well before the 2020 election. But it always amazes me. See, Katy Perry is one of the white women that there's a blog about it in the description, and I've talked about it on my TikTok page. That acts like they're so liberal. They put out songs, put out content, present to you online a lifestyle that looks fervently liberal, and then votes against every woman's best interest. But we got some Twitter updates because Elon Musk is a fucking idiot. Y'all keep thinking money equates to intelligence, and these brilliant business minds that y'all buy into are the greatest that ever did it, but y'all never pay attention to the fact that everything they touch turns to dust. But it's going to be quite a series of videos. We're going to go through them all, then we'll talk about them on the back end. Also, I do want to remind you all that I will be at Wakanda Forever tomorrow with a heavy heart, because one person that I was so excited to see this movie with will not be able to join me. They will be able to join me at a later time, and so you'll get another pre-recorded show when they are able to join me. But yeah, tomorrow's show will be pre-recorded, but since you all sent me so many blind reacts and so many things that you wanted a commentary on, that y'all know what Freeform Fridays is about, we will discuss it tomorrow. But let's get into this debacle.
There has now been a new update to Twitter, and it is more insane than any other update I've seen, so let's get into it. So everybody knows by now that Elon is going to charge $8 for this blue check mark, removing the elite status from Twitter and giving the power to the people to have a blue check mark. You know, no more elite bullshit for a price, except Twitter just announced that they're going to have a white check mark for people who are famous. It's not going to be everybody that was verified. It's going to be government accounts, commercial companies, business partners, major media outlets, publishers, and some public figures. Okay, so it's not everybody who was verified. They just have to go through this list of people, one by one, and decide who is a company or a government account or a public figure. It's as simple as that, really. You know, it's a short list. But Eddie, you might say, this is great. We can finally get rid of bots because people who pay for Twitter Blue and get the blue check mark can still verify that they're a real person. So even though the elite status symbol has changed, that feature is going to make the internet better. Except that's not what's happening. The new Twitter Blue does not include ID verification. It's an opt-in, paid subscription that offers a blue check mark and access to select features. So you are really, if you buy Twitter Blue, pretty much just paying for a blue icon that they've removed the status of and given that status to a new check mark that's a different color. I mean, Elon, you surprise me every day. I have no idea how you got to the position you're in. He might be the dumbest rich person I've ever seen in my life. Holy shit. This platform is just getting destroyed. I feel for the people who are working at Twitter. You guys are trying. I'm sorry for all of you. I have no hate in my heart for any of you guys.
Tech billionaire Elon Musk, pictured here just beginning to comprehend how quickly he's going to lose $44 billion. Right before your eyes, Elon. Continues to lose money. This time he's had to unload another $3.9 billion in Tesla shares. This in order to try to keep afloat. So to remind you, in April, Musk sold $8.4 billion in shares, and in August, he sold $6.9 billion. And in April, he tweeted, "No further Tesla sales planned after today." Been 2 since then. And in August again, he said he was done selling. Also not true. And as you can see, he's selling it at peak value in an outstanding year for Tesla. Business genius. Tech billionaire Elon Musk, pictured here realizing he could have just been hanging out on his yacht. Instead, he bought Twitter. Now it's everyone's problem. Anyways, things have been going great over on Twitter. See, he rolled out his new paid verification system, which, first of all, as you can see, masterclass in graphic design. I have no notes. Also, they cut bait on this immediately. Now it's just blue checks. The gray check's gone. And that's going great. Like, check out this tweet from Nintendo of America. A verified account. Verified that they have $8. And there's so many of these. Twitter is chaos today. And I'm covering some of this on purpose, but the Rudy Giuliani one is wild. So in the wake of how well everything's going, what does Elon Musk have to say? Well, he wants your banking information. I'm not joking. He had a Twitter space yesterday, which is basically just a bunch of people listening to him talk, in which he explained his grand designs for Twitter. For starters, he wants to focus on video, because that's the wave of the future. And if Instagram Reels has taught us nothing, it's that coming to video late is the best way to do it. But he also wants to use Twitter to process payments. Basically, you'll put your bank information in there and use it like a bank account. I can see no ways in which that will go badly. Neither can Nintendo of America. Basically, he wants to turn Twitter into PayPal, and TikTok, and chaos. In reality, he wants to model it after the Chinese app WeChat, which has its own massive privacy concerns. And it appears that this meeting was meant to put advertisers' minds at ease, since they're very concerned about the chaotic hellscape that Twitter has become, as well as the increasingly erratic behavior of Musk. But he just insists that this is about evolution. Quote, "You know, if nothing else, I am a technologist, and I can make technology go fast, and that's what you'll see happen at Twitter." And if you want to see what happens when he tries to make technology go fast, look no further than how his car's autopilot detects pedestrians. Go fast tends to describe how the cars react. So to recap, Elon bought the company, fired a bunch of people, is trying to rehire a bunch of people, broke verification, turned it into utter chaos, and now wants your banking info. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Business genius.
Y'all, I just had to share.
A man created a fake verified Donald Trump Twitter account today by simply paying $8. It took Twitter 2 hours to catch up with the man and to shut the account down. Imagine the damage that could have been caused in those 2 hours. Twitter had been previously warned that its new blue check program, where anybody can get the verification mark by simply paying $8 with no proof of identity needed, would cause a number of fakes to pop up and exactly this kind of thing to happen. Elon Musk refused to listen, went ahead with it anyway, and all day people have been posting fake things from Nintendo, LeBron James, all of them with the blue check mark, which means they're real, and they weren't. There is absolute mayhem breaking out at Twitter. I kid you not, I could do like an entire live just on Twitter updates. At least 2, but I think 3 top Twitter executives have now quit the company this afternoon. The head of cybersecurity, the head of trust and safety, this last guy, the trust and safety guy, is the guy that Musk has been putting out there all week as his guy, the guy to convince everybody, including advertisers, that everything's okay. The 2 people who just quit were on a call yesterday, ran the call for advertisers to convince them everything was okay. Musk just called an all-staff meeting. He's got them in right now. He was asked, what's the deal with the money, with the cash flow? He says they're hemorrhaging money. This is why he sold all the Tesla stock, was to keep Twitter afloat because the company would have shut down. He said, when asked about bankruptcy, he said, I forget the exact quote. He basically said, I'm not going to say I'm not going to do it. Like, it's a possibility going into bankruptcy now. This, in addition to all the news today, that everyone's been getting fake accounts now because of Musk making the verification process no longer verification, but you can still get the blue check. The blue check used to mean you're verified on Twitter. I've got it, meaning you've proven who you are. It also means you're notable in some ways, that you're a journalist or whatever. But the most important aspect of it is you have to prove who you are with an ID, a government ID, and it says you are who you say you are. Well, Musk got rid of that. You could just pay $8. Anybody could get the blue check, and people have been doing it all day. Somebody got Jesus. Somebody pretended to be Eli Lilly, making like all their drugs legal. Eli Lilly, pissed off as hell, major drug company. The Eli Lilly account, the fake one with the check mark, was up for 3 hours, and Eli Lilly couldn't get Musk to take it down. Somebody created a Donald Trump account. Somebody created a President George Bush account. Somebody created a Tony Blair, the former Prime Minister of the UK. It's a cluster what's going on there. It makes me really sad. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't like Elon Musk. I had respect for him in terms of what I thought he did with Tesla, what I thought he did with SpaceX, but now seeing what he's doing with Twitter, I'm kind of wondering what he actually did with Tesla and SpaceX. I'm kind of wondering what those products are. I mean, SpaceX, at least we know it goes up, it goes down, it seems to work. But man, he's destroying Twitter. Like I said, I could do a whole show on this. Just Google it. The news is nonstop in terms of how things are exploding over there. And he's making all the staff come into work starting tomorrow. He just announced today, like this afternoon, starting tomorrow morning, all staff has to come into work, 40 hours a week. Previously, Twitter let you work from home. A lot of people were hired as work-at-home employees. They don't work near an office. Oh well, cluster.
For those of you all that spent years denying the claims and lawsuits against Elon Musk. And my thing is, I'm wondering why Elon Musk and Trump decided to fight, because they should be besties. They are two dumbasses that so much of the population equates them into being business geniuses. I guess. But once again, make sure you go to my link tree, follow me on all platforms so you get all of the content, all the information, all of the time. Make sure if you're watching on YouTube, or if you're not, come on over to YouTube. It's the Taz J77 channel. YouTube decided to change my handle recently. I already had a personalized handle, but they changed it. So we got to go with the flow. Make sure you subscribe, click the bell so you get all of the updates. And like I said, keep in mind, tomorrow's show will be pre-recorded. I will pre-record it, and then it will air at the same time. And as always, you can always watch whenever you want. Please share this show, should you like it, with your friends, family members, whatever, or bring them over with you when I go live. And as always, each one teach one, each one reach one. And because it was a request, and I feel it was very apropos, here's our final video.